everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our broadcast. My name is Stina and I'm with Beef Advocacy Canada, and we are lucky enough to join for our second segment Dr. Cody Creelman and his infamous truck dog Phineas. We are headed out to a beef call, but we're just going to chat with Cody a little bit while we're driving out. Cody, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a beef cattle veterinarian based out of Airdrie, Alberta. My practice is Veterinary Agri-Health Services. We are a 5-veterinarian beef cattle only practice. So we deal only with cow-calf producers and feedlot producers. Our client base ranges anywhere from 30 head all the way up to 30,000 head at some of our feedlots, and we serve from a consulting perspective from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northern Alberta, Southern Alberta, and British Columbia as well. So we have a wide scope of practice. I am one of 3 practice owners at the practice, and I've been here for 6 years now. And on top of that, I am a vlogger, a storyteller. I've been sharing my story of being a beef cattle veterinarian for the last 4 or 5 years, and really enjoy kind of just showing and advocating for the beef cattle industry.
That's awesome. So, are you from this area, Cody, or where are you from?
No, I'm from way up north. I'm from Beaver Lodge, Alberta, like 10 hours north.
That's North Country. And where did you go to vet school?
So I did my undergrad at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, and then vet school was the University of Saskatchewan, the Western College of Veterinary Medicine.
That's great. And did you always know you wanted to be a large animal vet or a beef cow vet?
No, it probably wasn't until I was 16 and did a volunteer work experience at the local vet clinic up in Beaver Lodge. I had just assumed I was going to be a farmer. My dad was a cattle buyer. My mom was the farmer's daughter. We ran about 300 head of beef cattle, and we had a stockyards as well. And I just kind of thought that I was going to carry on the farm, and I got the bug after I worked at that practice. I think from the first day, that itch that I just loved the veterinary medicine component and working with producers and farmers, and since then I had been chasing the dream for sure.
Chasing the dream, hey? So do you think what you're doing is the dream? You live the dream?
I have my perfect job. It is a dream job for me, absolutely.
That's great. So we have a couple of people who have just tuned in. Stacy, who is actually one of ours at Beef Cattle Research Council. Diana has joined us. We've got 5 viewers.
My Diana?
Not your Diana. Actually, my Diana. My mom. And so yeah, we're just watching our second part of our stream. For those of you that are just tuning in, again, we're here with Cody Creelman. He's a bovine veterinarian, and we're going to head out on a call today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going out to see?
Okay, so we're heading out to Tanis Ranches. They're one of our producers out by Water Valley, and they've run into a little blip with some scours. They're calving right now, and at day 7, a grouping of their calves is breaking with scours. So we've been investigating the case. We think we've shut down the group, and there's been no new cases, but one of the animals hasn't responded to oral hydration, oral fluid therapy. We have them on antibiotics right now, but we need to do a checkup just to see if there's anything else we can do to get this little buddy straightened around.
So there's a couple people. We do have some producers on the line. We have some consumers as well. Can you maybe explain a little bit about what scours is?
Scours is diarrhea. It's neonatal diarrhea. So what happens at beef cattle is typically calving season starts and the pastures are clean and everything's clean, and babies are born and they get enough colostrum and everything's fine. Those babies take off like nothing, but a few weeks into calving, the contamination of the calving grounds increases, and there's pathogens that build up, and then those calves can break with neonatal diarrhea, or just diarrhea in the baby calves. So typically with diarrhea, most of the time it's viral cause. So rotavirus could be one, coronavirus would be another one. Those ones build up and those calves get sick. They squirt water for a while. We We stay ahead of them with oral rehydration. Some of those calves will get hit pretty hard and we may have to put them on IV fluids. But there's also other pathogens that typically can be even more serious. E. coli scours is one, Salmonella scours, Cryptosporidium is another one. So these kind of either protozoa or bacterial cause scours, which are less common but can happen as well. And then lastly, in the little older calves, like 3 to 6 weeks of age, we'll get a break of coccidiosis as the coccidia organism builds up as well. So we just supportive care on those baby calves, try to get a diagnosis. If it's bacterial, antibiotics. If it's viral, we just have to do supportive care, making sure they're getting enough fluids and a little bit of TLC.
So how much of your time do you think you spend doing things like that? Like, tell us a little bit about kind of what makes up your average calls.
Yeah, so in terms of field service stuff, I would split my time 50-50 between cow-calf and feedlot. But that doesn't, I guess, incorporate my total time in practice. I do a lot of management, so I have a lot of meetings dealing with different industry partners. I'm on several boards as well, and we even run a couple of different businesses out of the practice too. So I'd say in terms of field time of my work, I'm about 50-50 in the office versus in the field during the slow season, unless it's the hard and fast season, calving and preg testing. Then I'm out at just about 100% of the time. But yeah, so it's very seasonal in cattle practice. So what we see right now is a lot of calvings for sure are starting up. We're also getting into semen test season as well. So guys are getting their bulls tested before breeding season, because it's bull sale season right now. So we got to get our bulls tested to see who's going to pass, who's going to fail, and these guys need to know how many bulls they're going to need to buy for the upcoming breeding season. We just got off of our busy fall run season, so that's kind of October through to January, and that's where those wean calves are coming into the feedlots. We do a lot of consulting there, a lot of training, getting all of the cowboys, the feedlot staff, all trained up on what the protocols are, how to identify different diseases, and then we're also tons of hands-on addressing individual animal health concerns, whether that's working up serious pneumonias, doing claw amputations, bloat surgeries. There's 1,000 different things we'd be doing, and then also a lot of postmortems as well. So I necropsy or do an autopsy on a lot of animals, and that helps guide our treatment and our protocols for the next year as well. So we need to know why these animals are dying in face of our treatment protocols and our vaccination protocols, and that allows us to tweak and fine-tune so we can have continual improvement year over year in terms of calves getting sick.
So obviously a lot of what you do isn't so much focused on an individual animal, but on the herd as a whole. But could you tell us maybe a little bit about, you know, what that connection, you know, you do things like this, you mentioned bloat surgeries, so there is kind of that one-on-one animal interaction, and then kind of as a herd, you know, is it stuff like nutrition, and what kind of things are you looking for there?
Yeah, so in our practice, our main focus on the consulting side is data analytics, data collection. So we have on our cow-calf side program we use to collect all of the health data on the ground that producers are using a tablet, and they're entering in individual animal IDs and stuff like that. And same thing on the feedlot side, we have a computer health software where we have the complete medical record of every animal in our feedlot, and what we're doing is we're looking at that data and we're deriving what types of problems each individual feedlot has, and when we find those problems, we're trying to track down exactly what we can do to help fix or mitigate some of those. But the just as important part is the on-the-grounds thing as well. So being there day in, day out, addressing these problems, finding out why animals died, and working with the feedlot staff to make sure that each individual animal is also taken care of. I guess we're seen as the final step in terms of diagnosis, and we're training the feedlot staff to be able to do kind of triage or first aid medicine to make those quick diagnoses out in the field.
Cool. So I'm going to switch the camera around here. We're driving. We are currently west of Carstairs, Alberta, heading towards Water Valley. Just going to let all of our viewers know this is a real treat of rural life, and especially life out here is poor cell service. So we may lose you for a little while. If we do, please keep checking back. We are going to do this in a couple of different segments. So when we do lose some connection, we'll log back in again when we're actually at our call. But for now, we just kind of wanted to get a look at the landscape. It's a little different from where we were at this morning. And we're lucky enough to have Cody driving this time, so I can just take in the view here. So we don't have any questions from our viewers just yet. Maybe I'll harass you with a few more before we sign off here. So, Cody, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh, most rewarding part, I would say, is the people. So I think one thing that we always think about as veterinarians, that we enter veterinary medicine and we put in all the time to go to school, is we're doing it for the animals. We have this innate love of the animals, and that's true. We absolutely do. But for me, what's so rewarding, and with other veterinarians that I feel like are very satisfied with their job, what the biggest thing is the people you work with, the producers you work with are the most amazing thing. The connections that you get, they feel just like family. They do become family and friends, because you're so invested in their operation, and you're seen as that friend and that guide. That depth of relationship brings me the greatest amount of job satisfaction. And yeah, it feels great when you save a case and you pull out all the stops and you do everything you can and everything's very successful. But what's really rewarding is the appreciation you get from the people that you work with every day.
And we've been told this isn't your favorite question. We're going to ask it anyway. What's the hardest part of your job?
I don't have a hard part of my job. I always say I've never woke up a single day and didn't want to go to work, didn't want to run out of the house and go to work. I just absolutely love what I do. I love the area. I love my farmers. I love practicing medicine. So there is no hard part to my job. It never ever feels like work.
Well, that's great, and if only we could be so lucky. I know I love my job too, and being part of Canadian agriculture. So obviously, you're in a bit of a different role when it comes to agriculture versus the primary producer. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, about your connection to the agricultural community and why it's important to you?
Yeah, so I guess we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Because I do a lot of storytelling with my vlog and my Instagram and stuff like that, I do feel like that I'm a big part of the advocacy of animal agriculture and showing people the day-to-day lives of my producers and myself. But I do feel like I'm in a different role, or I'm categorized differently, that I'm a helper of animals as opposed to somebody who's relying just solely on animal agriculture, even though that's the case. That's what pays the bills, is animal agriculture. So I guess I get to view the dynamic from a completely unique perspective, being this healer and this advocate, but I don't really get the negative sort of aspects that some producers would get that expose themselves online through social media. So that's my, I guess, unique connection to the egg industry for sure.
Yeah, no, and we definitely appreciate, there are a lot of misconceptions out there, and it is the primary producer who often, encounters that, and we definitely see a lot of it in what we do. We have a couple new people joining. Sharon has just joined us, and we have Alberta beef producers sharing our post. They're one of our provincial members and partners, and so we really appreciate them for that. I guess, I don't know if I have any more questions for you right now, Cody. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're doing this afternoon a little differently. We're going to break up some segments.
I missed my turn!
And we have some really excellent navigators helping us here. So we're taking the road less traveled. We're this afternoon.
I've never been off this road because I never missed my turn before.
Okay, the road never traveled then. And getting a bit of a tour of rural Alberta from Dr. Creelman. So we're going to break up the segments this afternoon. We're going to lose some cell service and
30 minutes. 30 minutes. We will be in an isolation ward looking at a baby calf.
And there you go. So you've been given your time frame. If it's less than 30 minutes, it's free. Or more than 30 minutes, it's free. And yeah, so we're gonna go from there. And I heard rumor that we may even get some drone footage later, which would be really cool. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Happy Canada's Ag Day. We're really excited that Agriculture More Than Ever put together this initiative and wanted to celebrate Canadian agriculture. Here at Beef Advocacy Canada, I can't even say my own name. We are looking to train producers and give producers the tools to tell their story, and to give consumers a place to ask questions about how beef is raised. So we have one quick question here from a viewer. We'll try and sneak that in. Let's see, it's Tracy, and Tracy says, what's an area of research you're interested in and wish scientists could help us understand next?
Yeah, so I guess I didn't do a very good job talking about everything else the practice does, but we do have a very significant research component. We have, I think, 8 studies running right now concurrently, whether that be working with academia, industry, pharmaceutical industry, stuff like that. So what the biggest one that we're working on right now is getting a good sense of antimicrobial resistance throughout the entire industry. So starting at the cow-calf level, going all the way through until we have a finished calf going to slaughter, what their bacterial load looks like, what pathogens can be isolated, and what resistance patterns we're seeing to antibiotics as well. So we're going to be doing nasal swabs in baby calves right at branding time, so 6 weeks of age, and we're going to follow those calves all the way out until slaughter, so we can get a really good perspective on what exactly is going on in terms of the bacterial population. And on top of that, I'm also very, very interested in parasites. So I want to create some diagnostic tools for chute-side parasite diagnostics, so we can actually say, okay, cow or cow group, do you have parasites right now or not? So should I treat you or not?
Very cool. Sounds like some interesting research, and especially when it comes to antimicrobial resistance, I know that's something we're really concerned about as an industry, and look forward to seeing what you find. So again, as we said, rural Alberta, patchy internet is kind of part of what we deal with out here. So we're gonna have to cut this stream here pretty quick. We will be live again in 30 minutes in a isolation ward checking on our baby calves. So we had Jillian just join us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again in 30 minutes.